everyone, welcome back. My name's Diana, aka Bookish Di, and after yet another bit of a video drought, I'm back. And today I am talking about my TBR for the 2020 Owls. So this is an amazing readathon put on by Book Roast, and there are two parts. In April, there's the Owls, and in August, there's the Newts. And so as you can maybe tell by the title, this is a Harry Potter themed readathon where there are different prompts for the different classes that Hogwarts offers. During the month of April, there is one prompt per class, and if you finish a book for each prompt, you've earned your owl. And then in August for the Newts readathon, there are 3 prompts for every class, and in order to get the highest level grade, you have to read books for all 3 prompts. And there are corresponding careers that you can choose from. And Book Roast has put together a fantastic pamphlet that I will link below, listing all the different careers and different specialties that people can choose from. So last year when I participated, I was a librarian. Surprise! But this year I decided to go for something different. I decided, given my recent interest in antiquity, as well as my replaying of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I would be a curse breaker. In addition to that, this year there's specialties that you can complete, and one of them is animagus, and I would love, theoretically, to be able to turn into an animal of my choice. And so the requirements for animagus actually cross over really well into the prompts for curse breaker, so I'm going to go for both of those. So for curse breaker, I need 5 owls, I need ancient runes, arithmancy, charms, potions, and transfiguration. So for that, for ancient runes, the prompt is have a heart on the cover or in the title. So I am going to be reading Damsel by Elena K. Arnold, and as you can see, there is a small looking heart on the cover. So this is kind of a dark feminist fairy tale. It centers around a princess who wakes up not remembering her life before, but she's now with a prince and she's expected to fall in love with him and marry him. And so it's all about that. It's about women. It's about the social contracts that we might not have necessarily opted into. Hold on just one second. This is Leia. Say hi, Leia. She is not a big fan of me picking her up and doing the Lion King to the camera, but she's cute and soft and chunky. Anyway, so I'm going to be reading Damsel for Ancient Runes. Arithmancy is outside of your favorite genre, so I am not a big horror person at all. I like science fiction, I like fantasy, I like mysteries, but horror is not my jam. But I do love Shauna McGuire, aka Mira Grant's work. So I will be reading Final Girls by Mira Grant. This is a novella that she put out with Subterranean Press a few years ago. It involves VR simulation, Final Girls, horror, beautiful Julie Dillon cover. So I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna see how it goes. Yeah. Next up is Charms, and this is having a white cover. So I'm gonna be reading The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I'm kind of sporadically reading stuff for the BookTube SFF Awards, and the sequel to that, I can't remember what it is, but the sequel is on the awards for Best YA, but I haven't read it. I haven't read The Cruel Prince, so I'm going to read that. Next, for potions, is book under 150 pages. So I'm going to be reading To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. The story itself is like 138 pages, and there are like interviews and stuff, but I'm just counting the main story for this because it is, I think, total 153 pages. But yeah, it is about space exploration, body modification. I really loved Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which is the first book in her Wayfarers trilogy, and I've heard good things about this, and it is also up for the BookTube SFF Awards. And finally, for what I need with Cursebreaker and Animagus is Transfiguration, which has shape-shifting. So I will be reading Arushan, the Song of Death. It is the second book in the Pandeva Quartet by Roshani Chokshi. I adored the first book in the series. It is about young girls who discover they're the reborn incarnations of the of the Pandava siblings, and Aru and her sister Minnie had to go on a quest to fix a mistake that Aru had made, and so this is a sequel. We find another Pandava sister in this book, and she has shape-shifting abilities, so this fits the requirement perfectly, and that way hopefully I will have read this before the third book in the series comes out in early April. So although I only really need to read 5 books for this, I decided to assign prompts for everything else as well, in case I have extra time, in case I decide, you know, maybe I don't actually want to be a Cursebreaker and I want to do something else. So first up is astronomy, which is read mostly at night. So I'm going to read the 10,000 Doors of January by Alexi Harrow. I have an ebook of this, and so I'll just try and read that at night after I'm all done with work. And it's also up for the BookTube SFF Awards. Next is Care of Magical Creatures, and this has a beak on the cover, so I will be reading This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Mohtar and Max Gladstone. It is time travel with lesbians. I think it's epistolary. Anyway, I've heard it's very beautiful prose, and I do really like Max Gladstone's craft sequence. I haven't really read anything of Amal's, so I'm really looking forward to reading this book. It was getting a lot of buzz last year, and the cover is really pretty. Next is Defense Against the Dark Arts, and this is a book set at the coast or the sea. So I am going to be reading The Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Helig. This is involving a time-traveling ship. It deals with colonialism. It deals with finding a map. And again, I've heard really good things about this. I've actually had this on my shelf for a couple of years now, and I am trying to be better about reading books that I own, so I figured this would be a good time to read this. Next is books selected by random number generator. So what I ended up doing for this is pulling 20 books from my shelves, putting them in order by author's last name, and then I rolled a d20. And the book that the dice told me to read was A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. This is the second book in the Wayfarers trilogy. As I said earlier in this video, I absolutely adored the first book, and I just hadn't gotten around to reading the second book, so I figure now is a great time to do so. And I really love the cover for this edition that I got. Next is Herbology, which is a book that starts with an M. So for that, I am going to be reading Memory by Lois McMaster Bujold. It is part of her Vorkosigan saga. The description for this book in the Vorkosigan chronology at the end of other books is Miles hits 30, 30 hits back, which is a great description. I've heard good things about this book from my friends who've read the Vorkosigan saga. As you can see, I do have a physical copy. It is one of the few library books that I actually had on hand before my public library closed its building due to everything. But I also have an audiobook checked out from my library, so I might listen to that instead of read it. Next is History of Magic, which is a book that has witches or wizards in it. So I am going to be reading Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova. I really like Zoraida's writing. I, for some reason, hadn't gotten around to reading this before. And the third book in the Brooklyn Brujas series comes out this summer. And I love the cover for this edition, and I figured this would be a really great time to start it. It deals with a young bruja, Alex, who doesn't want her magic and makes an ill-advised wish, and her family vanishes, and she has to go and rescue them. And finally, for Muggle Studies, it is contemporary. So I'm going to read The Right Swipe by Alicia Rye. I adored the series that this spins out of. So this is about Rhiannon Hunter, who is the sister of one of the heroes in the previous trilogy. And this is about her being a woman of color in tech, dating, and the sequel to this comes out in April as well, I think. So I'm, again, trying to read this before the next book comes out. So that is my TBR for the Owls Readathon. Are any of you participating? If you are, I would love to know what career you're doing, and if any of the books on my TBR are on your TBR as well. As I said before, I'm going to link to Booker's original announcement video, as well as the guide to the Wizarding careers. And I really hope if you weren't planning on participating, you think about it, because I had a lot of fun last year, and it was probably my favorite readathon that I did. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to Wednesday when I can get started on this lovely stack of books. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye.